Hello, everyone. This is Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So humans versus reptilians. So we know that there's a problem out there with these reptilians trying to take over the world. And for the most part, they have. They control the voting, but we can get it back, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about how to recognize humans versus reptilians, right? So we've seen with President Trump, human, and we're going to talk about that, his background, his, going back, his lineage. We'll talk about President Kennedy, his lineage, human. All right. Of course, they took him out. And then Ronald Reagan, human. Of course, they tried to take him out, but we'll look at his lineage as well. And how interestingly, all of their lineages go back to the old world, right? To England, Ireland, and we've seen this happen before, where these people that are in England are kind of reptilian-like. The family that's there basically took over from Richard III, who was a human, and then the reptilians came in and took over. So all the way from Richard III all the way to today, we've had reptilians in the UK, running the UK, right? So that's one of the things we need to look at. We know that the Bush family are Germans. They weren't born in America. Bush Sr., Bush Jr., both born in Germany. So we have the record of that. So they are lying. And what are they? Reptilian. All right. Remember when we used to see those cameras, or we had cameras that, because the human eye can only catch so much light spectrum. So if you look at some of the pictures that we were taking at one time, we started to catch certain things, frequencies and so forth. And the cameras that were in the news and so forth were basically catching some of these people shape-shifting into reptilians. The Bush family, very, very, very much so. Right. So we've seen this, and a lot of these people, we've had a lot of people talk about it. I have talked about it. I've seen it in people in the CIA in very high-level positions. Probably everyone on the 7th floor is probably, pretty much reptilian in the CIA. So we have a lot of people, not all of them. I think maybe one or two, maybe not so much. And I think maybe that's getting changed. So I'm kidding on some of this stuff, but not so much. All right. On most of it. So we have to be aware, and we have to recognize who the humans are and who are the reptilians. Right. Because this is very important going forward if we want to win these elections, because the elections are being controlled and manipulated, and we can't continue to have these reptilians running the show, right? We see the problems that we have with this, the Jeffrey Epstein problems, all of these different groups that are, posing under certain religious, they get religious protections, but they shouldn't have it because they're reptilians, right? So there's a lot of it. We're recognizing it, we're pointing it out, and it is becoming more and more obvious to many of us. All right. So today we're going to talk about how we can turn that around. Later on in the show, I'm going to have Ron and Patty Plumb. I met them at when I was helping at Lewis Herms. I spoke at Lewis Herms' event where he's running for governor, and I got to hear a lot of people's like almost 20 different people running for governor in this group that spoke. And it was a very, very good event. So I met Ron and Patty Plumb from Mount Shasta, where they have done away with the Dominion voting machine, and they do paper ballots and do it all in one day. I think they had 81,000 people, and they did it all in one day, guys. All right. So it can be done. They're going to come on and they're going to talk about it. Now, that Proposition 50, where supposedly the state, within 1 second, they decided 66.6% of people in the state of California had decided that yeah, let's go ahead and, redistrict and just make it a full Democrat state, a full reptilian state, right? The whole state reptilian, right? Everybody in charge, right? Reptilian, except for Gavin Newsom. He is a vampire. So we are going to continue to see this type of manipulation unless we fix the system. We can't just keep going, okay, we'll win next time. We're not going to win. It's all manipulated. Hello. All right. So when they did the voting in Mount Shasta, which they're terming the great new California state, the Patriot state. So I'm looking forward to having them on to talk about all this. They're going to have a reorganized California convention, Shasta County, January 23rd and 24th. All right. So we're going to talk about all this. This is going to be spectacular. One of the things that we have needed for a long time. So they're going to show us how they did it. And every single county in every single state should do this. If they don't do this, then we know that they're reptilian, right? Just like Colorado, where they're holding Teeny Peters. All right. So, and they're friends with Teeny Peters, and they're going to talk about Teeny Peters. So we're going to get a lot of great information a little bit later. So it's supposed to come on about 22 minutes, about 4:30. So let me read something that I got from Juan O'Savin. This is actually, I'll share the screen with you. This is actually on Juan O'Savin's X account. So you can read along with me, right? Read along with me. All right. Here it is. Juan O'Savin, 107. He's posting a lot of stuff. So I used to just like hit a bunch of us up with, text and so forth. Now he's on X, he's on Telegram. So he's releasing a lot of good information. So this is true. This truly pisses me off. He says the Colorado courts have committed the most heinous criminal behavior by not allowing Teeny Peters to enter into evidence the data or the actual circumstances of the trusted build by Dominion. There's a lot of cover up, and they should never have tried this in the first place. But they've held on to Tina because of one issue. She can expose the crimes of the state. Now, when I was in SEAL Team 6, guys, we went down to Panama. I did Panama invasion, had combat action down there. And one of the things that we did is we went into Noriega's cells. Not me, but Delta did. I remember watching, I was there for a month before we did the invasion. Delta practiced like 3 or 4 times a week for this takedown. Basically what they did is they went into, and this is an incredible story, they fast roped onto the top of the building, the penitentiary, blasted their way in, went down to where this one former, he was CIA guy that they really wanted. And I guess he shot some people on the way, prison guards, and the guy that they were looking for was not in his cell. So they had to like find him, found him, blew up in the door with breach or charge, got him up on the helo. The helo crashed because it took fire. It crashed in the prison yard. They blasted open the fencing, and like an armored vehicle came up. They got him in there and they drove away. Right. That's what we should do with Teeny Peters. Right. So, but they're going to try everything they can, quite frankly, because I think it's basically the deep state. It's not part of the U.S. government. It's not part of the U.S. Colorado, where she's being held, is a prison cell that is very similar to J6. All those people should have been busted out too, but Trump was able to get them out, and he's having problems getting Tina out. So maybe it needs to be, Delta guys, SEAL Team 6 guys need to go in and rescue her, right? So she is a Gold Star mom. Her son had unfortunately died in a parachuting accident. So I think she should be rescued. We'll give them a little bit more time, but she's on dire straits. I guess she's, got some lung issues, and she needs to be hospitalized. So, but they've held on to Tina because of one issue. She can expose the crimes of the state. Jared Polis needs to get educated on what stating justice is not for sale. Jared Polis is the governor of Colorado, reptilian probably, is a ridiculous and superfluous remark. Justice is what the court system is all about. This trial should have been a federal trial as it was in 2020. And the fraud, election denier my ass, was committed to try and take down President Trump. And maybe they were a little bit miffed at the 2024 SCOTUS 9-0 decision. Remember when Colorado tried to get President Trump off the ballot? Well, the Supreme Court said 9-0 no, right? So you got to keep them on the ballot. You can't play games. So they were a little miffed, evidently. So they went after Tina to show their displeasure. Who will be valiant for justice's sake? I could volunteer. I've done these missions before. All right. So let's do a rescue mission. Maybe he's taking bribes to not give Tina justice. I think so. I think a lot of these people are paid off, and that's why they do what they do. Or they got dirt on them, or they get paid off and they got dirt. Probably getting paid off. He's got dirt on them. It gets pretty obvious this governor is running a state with a lot to hide. Light him up, friends, for Tina. All right, totally agree. We need to really come after these people. They are extremely bad. All right, so let's look at a little bit of history. Let's look at ancestry of Ronald Reagan, because there are people that are reptilians, like I said, and then there are people that are humans. All right, so we've had humans that have been in the White House. Obama, no. The Bush family, no. Clinton, no. All right. Clinton is basically a bastard child of a Rothschild. So a lot of these people, Rothschilds, reptilian guys. Now, a lot of people say demonic, right? Now, when I've looked at them from a remote viewing place and I see them like I see this screen, like I see if you were in front of me, like I would see you. I see their demons on them, right? So their demons are reptilian. So these reptilians operate in multiple dimensions. I've seen some of these people, shapeshift into this dimension. Maybe some of you have. You've seen films on it. You've seen movies on it. You see David Icke talk about it. There's a lot of people out here talking about these shape-shifting reptilians, right? It's for real, guys. And these guys are running our political system for the most part. We need to clean them out, all right? So let's look at Ronald Reagan. Let's look at his background. All right, so here we have ancestry of Ronald Reagan. Had Irish, Scottish, and English roots. Now, we can go back to basically the Scottish or the Danes, right? And when they came into, different parts of Scotland, it's basically because the Scots were such great fighters. Everybody wants Scot. So I got Scot blood, of course. I'm a good fighter. But Hadrian, the Scots were such great fighters. He conquered all of England, Wales, Ireland, everything. But the Scottish, he built a wall, Hadrian's Wall, right? You guys stay on that side. We're on this side. It's like the wall down in, all the way down in Mexico right now. So we need a wall to keep, the baddies out. And we've done this over time. And so the Scots, I don't think were baddies. All right. I think the Roman may be, all right. Not all of them, but the Romans were pretty tough. Right. Now the Normans, if we look at Normandy and we look at William the Conqueror coming over was a human, right? And he was fighting reptilians, in my opinion. And he built the Tower of London, right? So that was a castle. So the Normans were castle builders. So that's where the castle building came. And Windsor Castle was started by William the Conqueror, and he built like, I think 7, probably a lot more than that, but 7 of them still exist to a certain extent. Some of them are in decay, some of them are still existing, like, of course, the Tower of London and Windsor Castle. So we have the Norman, the Norsemen, the Normandy, the Normanders, right? The Norman that came over that started to clean out the baddies, right? Of course, they kept trying to kill them off. And like I said, basically the lineage went all the way to Richard III. And then the reptilians finally got control and they killed them off. And now we have incredible amounts of problems, all right, all around the world. So just because someone is from Ireland or Scotland or England doesn't mean they're good, right? But from these people, I think we can have a takeaway when we look back on what they accomplished and how much they were suppressed or tried to be suppressed or tried to be killed. All of them, they were, of course, successful with JFK. That you have to look at this and see this is a greater conspiracy than just a bunch of bad people. This has a lot more power behind it, reptilian power and so forth. So start to look at this as, the reptilians that we're fighting. I think you'll get a lot further in understanding. All right, so Ronald Wilson, of course, Ronald Wilson Reagan, born in Illinois, second generation parents. Let's see, where were they from? Illinois, and I think his mom, one of his relatives was from England. Yeah, Surrey in England. So 1843. So we're seeing a lot of these people, I believe, that are good humans. Not all of them, again, because just because I think they're called sheriffs or whatever they call it. I'll have to look it up again. But the Bush family, they changed their name. They're from Germany. That doesn't mean that they're good. It's like we know there are a lot of Germans, right? Not all Germans, of course, but a lot of Germans are reptilian, right? So there's a lot of reptilian stuff going on in German lands. All right, so they settled there, and they seem to have done really well in controlling them. So that's obviously one of the things that we have a problem with. So let's look at tracing the lineage of JFK. So Irish heritage, go back in time. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff on the Irish, did a really good job coming over here. JFK, Catholic, first Catholic. So there was a big Catholic problem. So no one wanted to elect a Catholic because we were told that they were bad because of England. Because after Richard III was killed, and we had, who is it? The Henry VII was king, and then his son Henry VIII became king. He wasn't supposed to be king, but one of his sons died, and so Henry VIII rose. And of course, Henry VIII wanted to have all these women, and so to have a woman, you had to marry them. So he married a woman. Got tired of her wanting another woman, so he's like, okay, she committed treason, chopped her head off, and he got another one. The Catholic Church is like, oh, you can't do that. And it's like, oh yeah, I can. In fact, you guys go away, and I'm going to create the the Church of England, right? So, and that's what he did. And so he burned down all the Catholic, cathedrals everywhere, pretty much for most part. And now we have the Church of England, no more Catholic Church. So there was a lot of Protestantism because he wanted to, be a reptile and have all these women. And when he was done with them, just want to kill them off. So that's what we've seen with the very, very evil, monarchy for quite some time, guys. And a lot of people have talked about that, how they like young children and so forth. We know that. So JFK was not one. He was not a reptilian. It was a return of Camelot. So Camelot goes all the way back to when Joseph of Arimathea came over from the Holy Land, Jerusalem, because they were run off because I guess the Jewish controlling faction there, the Khazarian Jewish controlling faction in Jerusalem at that time, ran him off because he had helped Jesus. And so he brought this thorn from the crown of thorns. He brought this thorn bush and planted it at the cathedral, the first cathedral that was started, the tour. Can't think of the name, but is where. So anyway, I'll have to come back. I have to do the research and come back for that one. But anyway, we've had the red water. It was like a spring, red and white spring. There's another place where there's a red and white spring. So where Joseph Arimathea started, and it was recognized as the first Christian church, the first one in Glastonbury. Oh, yeah, thought about it. Thank you. It came through. So Glastonbury, where we had Camelot, King Richard, and all his Guinevere, or was it Richard or Guinevere and whatever. So God, my memory for all these things sometimes is not so good. All right, so too much. I try to remember in one thing and talk about it so fast that I can't stop and slow down and remember it. So yeah, they had a lot of problems in that area. So the white and the red water spring was supposed to be from the Jesus and Mary spring. All right, so red, of course, being the Mary spring. Mother Mary supposedly went to Glastonbury with Joseph Arimathea, and they started the church there. And then she went to Turkey, where I've seen her home. So she was all over the place, lived a long life. Of course, they suppressed her. So so we have the return of Camelot. So the other place where they have a red and white spring is in Mount Shasta. So my guests that are coming in, Ron and Patty Plumb, are from Mount Shasta. So kind of interesting that the connection there. And I've been to that spring in Mount Shasta, very nice hot spring, right? Highly recommend it. King Arthur of Camelot. Thank you, Gail. So thank you for thinking for me, right? So Guinevere and King Arthur, right? The return of Camelot, and that was because I've done past life research, and I was told that King Arthur was JFK and Guinevere was his wife, right? So unbelievable. So we're continuing to see a lot of this stuff, come through, and as it comes through, you can start to break it down. As you understand this information, we can start to push away the reptilian influence and so forth. So Jackie, goes on, marries Onassis. So Onassis was supposed to be one of the Knights of the Round Table and all kind of crazy stuff. So there's a lot of deeper information in here. I've talked about this in other shows, but I just want to throw some of this out there. So JFK, obviously good guy. He was exposing the deep state reptilians, and of course they took him out. Ronald Reagan also was trying to expose them. They tried to take him out, didn't work so good. And of course now we have Trump. So Trump also, Scott. He's got Scottish heritage. He's got a golf course in Scotland, of course. He goes over there quite often. So his father, Frederick Christ, interesting name, right? Trump. And his mother, Mary Ann MacLeod. Hope I'm saying it right. MacLeod. 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 So I'm sure the Scottish are like, oh my God, you have Scottish blood in you. You can't even pronounce the name. So so I looked up the MacLeod, and the clan MacLeod, and very interesting background. I don't see them at the Battle of Hastings with William the Conqueror. All right. one of my past lives, and it's very interesting to start to see, the connections with all this stuff. Clan MacLeod was in, of course, Scotland, in a very remote area, so they were not involved there. So they're not. I'm not seeing how they're involved with the reptilians whatsoever. I think they're some of the good guys. Now I looked up. This was very interesting to me. I looked up a chart of where they were. All right. So we see him right here, MacLeod. Then we had the McKinseys over here. We had the McKinnons, the Frasers, the Grants, right? And then we had the clan Ranald MacDonald. What? Ranald MacDonald? What? All right. So was somebody trying to play a word game on them? Trying to diss them, make them into a clown family, right? For McDonald's. All right. Ronald McDonald clan. All right. So very, very, I'm not laughing at the clan, but we know that these guys play games. They like to diss other clans and so forth. So funny stuff. All right. So the castles, the reason why I keep coming to the Normans, because I think the Normans, the Norsemen, we're going to find out that they were very special, and that they were suppressed by the Catholic Church in a major way. Yes, they did some crazy stuff in some of their clans and some of their groups, but for the most part, I think the Norsemen were good. All right, following is conquest of Anglo-Saxon England and coronation as King of England in 1066. William the Conqueror built a great number of castles across England. So they didn't have castles until William the Conqueror, right? Very, very, and here's the Battle of Hastings and I think this is the Bayeux Tapestry. Very, very insightful. So good stuff. So here's the castles. Norman Keep, the Tower of London. All right, so this is one of the first ones. So they keep control of England. Here's the White Tower and Windsor Castle. Right, that's the beginning of it. And of course, there it is now. And we've heard that there's no one there now. So I don't know. President Trump keeps going there, and he keeps walking in front of those reptilians. So that shows me that he's in charge. The humans are in charge, guys, for the great extent. So that's a good thing. So Trump administration takes formal step toward freeing Tina Peters. President Trump has threatened retaliation if Colorado doesn't release his political ally from prison. So the press, which is controlled quite a bit by these bad people, is saying very bad things about Tina Peters, and we're trying our best to uncover that. And here we have Ron and Patty Plumb with us. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us on today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
great to be with you.
Thanks so much for coming on. So I kind of did a little bit of an introduction for you guys, but tell us what you're up to there in Mount Shasta and how you're making an absolutely incredible difference, and how everyone in the whole country, every county, should pay attention to what you guys did there, and they should do the same thing.
Well, we'll first want to do a little correction. We're actually in the county of Shasta, which houses Mount Shasta, but we actually live in Redding.
And Mount Shasta itself is in Siskiyou County. So we're just about an hour south of Mount Shasta itself, but we're in the city of Redding. So the event will be in city, but a lot of people get that confused. Not a big deal. So
it's beautiful.
It is.
All the way up. It's beautiful.
We're about 2 hours north of Sacramento and 2 hours south of the Oregon border. So we're at the top of the horseshoe where the valley ends. And so it's only like 500 feet elevation here. We don't get a lot of snow. It's very mild weather. It does get a little hot in the summer, but we're not in the inclement weather like Mount Shasta would be.
Right. Very good. So you just recently had some voting there for Proposition 50. Now you guys did away with the Dominion voting machine and you do paper ballots, right?
That's correct.
Well, what happened is we voted the Dominion machines out, which was one of the very first, if not the first county to do that. I know some counties don't have Dominion, but what happened was there's a constant mix up. We're in a constant battle, as you well know.
Yeah.
And so what happened was the Register of Voter got some money from Facebook, from
no, it was a COVID money, I think, too.
from Zuckerberg.
Oh, right.
And he was wanting to give a grant. And so the Board of Supervisors wanted to make the grant available for business only, like for a building. And they kind of flim-flammed that deal and took that money and bought heart machines. So what we've had to do is we have a godsend here. We have Clint Curtis and his wife moved into town. They and the Register of Voters and the Board of Directors elected him or put him in, voted him in, appointed him as the new ROV. We've had so much problem, Mike. It's just been insane. Well, and it's we're making some major headway because what he did was he got rid of the electronic
poll pads,
which that's caught. We have great dissent here. We still have a lot of dissent, and you know, as you were talking about the reptilians, they don't want to give up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I was stepping out of my bounds by talking about that before your show, but I'm glad you guys are on board with that. Wow, very good.
Yeah, we were on board with it, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I worked for a guy when I first got out of college, and this is just a little side note if you want a little story, but I was selling cars, Cadillacs actually, and I got out of and Jaguars, and I'm selling this car, and I'm looking at the guy, and he's upset at me, and I looked at him because one of the cars he was working on, he wasn't supposed to be selling them, and so this lady contacted me, and so he took it as if I stole it from him, or because he was the manager anyway. But I looked at him, and his eyes went like a cat.
You got the slip.
It absolutely shocked. I had never seen that before, and when I saw that freaked me out. I was like, whoa. And so from then on, it was like, this has been a eye-opening, excuse the pun, but an eye-opening experience that has just been layers and layers and layers of what they've done over the multitude of years.
In 1970,
that's fantastic, because you're validating. Go ahead.
None dare call it conspiracy. The book came out in the 70s, and Ron had read it, and I was working at a bookstore that sold it. And so we became aware of things that were going on, but I became a flight attendant in the 80s. And then when I saw 9/11, I knew that was not what I was seeing. I couldn't figure out what I was seeing, but understanding that a bird could dent a fiberglass fuselage with aluminum and maybe some steel frame, but there's no way. And so I took it in, and I just kind of started watching it. And then other things, of course, confirmed that we were being betrayed by our government. And so grateful that we found Lewis Herms and Screw Big Gov a few years ago, because we're like, okay, we're not crazy. It is the government, and they've been doing horrible things to us. So to bring it back to our county, we're working with a lot of people that have been there for quite some time, and they don't believe that there's a problem with elections. And so now we're slowly coming in and helping our new Register of Voters, Clint Curtis, and we're saying, I know you're really smart. I know you're going to figure this out, but I understand you're angry, and you should be, because you've been betrayed. We've all been betrayed and used and abused and screwed by our government, especially the state of California. So we try to affirm people when they're upset, when they don't have all the information. We say that ignorance is not a bad thing. It's just lack of knowledge. And so when people can get more facts, and maybe they can be more cognitive and common sense thinking and stay curious. We try to encourage people not to get stuck in chronic complaining, because there's no solution there. Your brain just gets stuck in complaint. But if you keep it curious and say, well, I don't know everything about that, but I'm going to go ahead and take some information and see if that matches what I'm researching. So it's a process, as you know. Not everything can come really fast. We don't like giving people a drink of water with a fire hose, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, there's Curtis there. And
there he is.
So most of Shasta's ballots have been counted. This is, what was this, back in November 14th? And wow, you have a lot more than I thought. I think there's like 81,000, something like that. Yeah,
Right,
about
right.
81,000.
Yep, about 112,000 registered, but of course we know that the voting rolls are dirty, and there's no sense in sweeping a dirt floor, as Sean Smith says. But we've been learning just that what to do going forward. So we know certainly what doesn't work, and that's where Clint comes in. He was the one that created the system for Jeb Bush and the Republicans back in 1999, 2000. They wanted him to show something about a voting system, and can votes be stolen? And he says, sure, I can create a program. And so he did. And he said, well, certainly don't use it. And after the hanging Chad thing, they went to machines and they started using his program. So he spent the last 25 years traveling the world and telling Germany and other countries, don't use machines. And they've stopped. He has saved the day in so many places. And the movie that we'd recommend anyone that wants to understand who Clint Curtis is called Murder, Spies, and Voting Lies. If you watch that, it came out about 13 years ago. We just wept because we understood the value of this man and what he has sacrificed, and to be a whistleblower. And they killed his dog and murdered one of his attorney friends that had evidence. So we'd recommend that one with all the other movies that are out there, like Let My People Go and Selection Code with Tina Peters.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that movie out. So after hours of tabulation, Wednesday and Thursday, election officials released new ballot totals to the state today to bring the number of ballots counted to more than 64,000. Results show county voters opposing. Now, we know that within 1 second after the polling closed, that there was 66.6% of, I think that changed a little later, but 66.6.
Right.
Yeah, people voted for Prop 50, basically the complete demons, or the complete Democrat, takeover of California. So with almost 71% of voters against it. So here we have no Dominion machine, paper ballots, and despite its success statewide, Redding's Measure A is also failing with almost 65% of voters opposed. So how do you justify or account for all of the different voting problems?
Oh my.
Mail-in votes,
Mail-in
ballots, of course, which we are looking forward to our president writing the executive order and getting rid of mail-in ballots completely. But here in the county, this particular article is from people that are opposed to our Patriot efforts of exposing fraud. And so they're trying to, anyways, it's a lot that's going on there. But she's doing the best she can to try to get the numbers out. But really, the numbers don't matter, Michael. You know how it is. It's a flip of a switch at the state level. It's corporately controlled. So even if tangibly we do our efforts at the county, that's why Clint had everything recorded by camera. So we put the ballots in and we had under camera, we flipped them, then they went through a tabulation machine and we put them under camera again and counted them again. So everything's been recorded. So if there's anything shifty going on, at least we have record by camera and recording.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fight. It really is. And the thing of it is, like, one county can do whatever they can to control it. In fact, a lot of different counties are they're calling to see what can be done and try to understand how they can control the machines.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a fight. And I truly believe that, if we can get President Trump to do that state of emergency for elections,
national emergency,
and and then go to one day paper ballots and hand counting, we'll take it back, and I believe that's what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time, and what we're trying to do is set a precedence of controlling the machine so that we audit on both sides of the tabulator. So
Wow.
it's good. That part is good, but it's not an easy process.
Right.
Everybody's, the people that have been there for a while are upset.
Yeah. It's tedious and everyone's frustrated, but what we keep telling them, it's never going to be like this again. Going forward, we're going to be doing this process at the precincts. So you cast and count at the precincts and keep it around 1,000 people, maybe 1,500. And once it's done there, all the other machines and all the other tedious work is eliminated. So it's going to be much easier in June with the help of Clint Curtis.
Oh, great. So now we have Lewis here. Join us, surprise guest. Hi,
Awesome.
Lewis.
Yay.
Hey, Lewis.
Hey, the famous Plums.
Hey.
So good to be here with all you. Michael's all right, but you all I love a lot.
It's been so fun the last few weeks being able to champion what's going on. It's just really proud of you guys running up front. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike's been doing this for a long time too.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
so we're
and
talking
just
about
after
maybe President Trump coming in and intervening. Do you guys believe anyone can talk about this? I think Ron and Patty are already of this opinion. I am. So what are your thoughts? We're going to have an intervention here to make these votes right, Lewis?
Yeah, I think there's two things that have to happen. I'm not going to wait for President Trump to do that, although I believe that's what's going to happen. But as you know, Michael, you know me for a long time. I don't wait for somebody to do something. I would rather take action and find a solution. So I'm working with a couple really great election people. I'm putting together a few bullet points of what we can do right now. And then I'm going to pull together the other candidates and say it's going to benefit y'all also. And then we need to get all our supporters out there to start getting the word out and fixing little things. We can pull into charter cities. We can do some work. There's some counties that we can do some work, and definitely we need to get in precincts are the key. And I just came in right when you were talking about precincts of 1,500 and less. Ron and Patty are dead on. That's exactly what we should do. In fact, I would go as far as saying in the future we should have a representative government of 1,500 and less per representative. In the future.
Yeah, so good.
And that will prevent all of this stuff going forward. So there will not be a cabal as soon as we get over it. And I just made a post because I was frustrated and it was on my heart today. I don't know if you saw it, Michael. And that was if any political candidate right now is not addressing the fact that there's a new world order operation and there's a deep state parasitic cabal that has been running things, I think they're either naive, right? They lack courage, or they're complicit, which makes you unelectable according to we the people in my view. So I'm taking it to them. I'm done with this. We have to have honesty and authenticity, and let's stop playing these political games of stepping over the truth. Let's just tell it like it is and let the ball fall where it will. So
good.
Well, we've got to, if we do the same thing as we've always done and allow them to run those machines, they're going to have what they want.
Right.
It's just that clear. And so hopefully President Trump will step in.
We see the COVID whole circus was such a gift to us because it helped us all to wake up, of course. And so one of the things that we did, we started papering our elected officials and challenging them and asking them, have you violated your oath of office? Have you harmed us? Have you kept your oath that protects the Constitution, that protects our rights? And we gave them 10 days to respond. And the county council told them just to dismiss it. But what we did is immediately got rid of our health directors, 2 of them.
During COVID,
they have stepped down because the pressure was too hot on them. And so we have done this in all 58 counties, and just the county clerk registrar alone, 38 of them have stepped down, retired, been replaced. One of them was being transferred from Sacramento to San Joaquin County, and somehow she mysteriously died.
Car wreck.
She was a whistleblower. And so that's what we see. The 2 camps right now are people that continue to be complicit and those that are whistleblowers. And so, of course, we're in the whistleblower camp and we're not afraid. But the reality is that there is casualties in this process. And so our prayer is that Tina Peters will be extracted just in time and to be able to get her health back because, we got real close to her when we went to Church of Glad Tidings the day that her husband had passed away and she needed to have a covering. She needed to be with Pastor David Bryan and his wife and the people there. And she said, this is my tribe. This is going to be my forever home up in Northern California, because she'd been betrayed in Colorado. So we invited her to come stay with us, and she was planning on coming in to take the seat here in Shasta County. But of course she got, redirected in a field trip to prison, which is a horrible, horrible, horrible journey. But we believe that she's going to come back and have an opportunity to recover. But we have to, put the pressure on and do this right away. If it doesn't happen with we the people, we can't wait for Trump. It has to be grassroots. So I know hundreds and thousands of people are calling the governor, and then we got a call back from the White House, and you got a message back that they received your message and was going to forward it to the president.
That they had actually read it to the president.
Yeah. So we're doing what we can.
So we're hoping. We're hoping. I mean, it's been an absolute groundswell of people in Shasta County. Shasta County has been, the patriots here are amazing. And there's no way that we've done any of this by ourselves. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of patriots that have worked. We went through recalls, board of supervisor recall. We kind of went for the head of the snake there. And when we got rid of him, then everything began to change. It was a slow change, but there's been so many people that have supported us. We did school walkouts where 1,000 people said, we're not going to put our kids in school. They're not going to get the jab. They're not going to, here in Shasta County, we're so proud of everybody that we've all been arm in arm and marching forward. And, but there's a real fatigue issue.
So different.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Why do you think that is, that Shasta County is so different from probably LA County?
Well, if you've seen the series Red, White, Blueprint, there's 8 episodes to that. Go find it. That came out a few years ago, and it was just amazing what they did to show who we are and why it's different here. So that'll answer a lot of your questions. Red, White, Blueprint. And then there's another thing you can see called Shasta Anon, which is really helpful and amazing to see when the pressure we just get more resolve, no matter what happens when, like we push through for the hand count, and then the state says, oh, no, you can't hand count. So we just don't stop. And that's what's been known, is that we don't stop fighting.
Yeah. That's what Mark Cook told us. We said, why are you here, Mark? And he said, because you guys haven't quit fighting.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, we have some really strong churches, a lot of believers here in Shasta County, some good, strong churches. And there's some that are marginal too. But
they shut their doors.
But many of them shut their doors. That's right.
Yeah.
And ours did not. And that's why we stayed there.
With Cheon
and it's just amazing. But one of the things that I really, truly believe that what we're trying to do is we're trying to awaken people to the virtues. We were talking about virtues down south, and the Black Robe Regiment, bringing back the Black Robe Regiment. Those were the pastors that led the Minutemen. That was our congregation. They led them in. And I think there's a lot more activism here. I think, it's really hard to say. I think that's what caused the pastors to rise up, is that they, like Galatians 5:1 says, it's for freedom that Christ set you free. And freedom is such a big deal. I mean, it's the deal. And for the Constitution. And we've been working for some time, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't know more about it. I know if it hadn't been for my mom grilling us about the preamble and all the different founding fathers, I learned more from her. And she was a test pilot in World War II, so she was she actually a trainer, but she B-17s too, bro. B-17s. And she was an amazing person. And my dad, he delivered fuel and to Patton's tanks. So they were in it. They were in it to win it. So, and they did. And so we had to realize we don't know much about the Constitution, not enough. And this has been about a 5, 6, 7, 8 year. And Paul Preston's done a lot to help us learn about what's going on. I was telling him the other day, thank you for the upper division course.
Yeah.
Because I probably was a knothead and not paying attention in my junior and senior year, and maybe civics in 7th and 8th grade and things like that. But it's just been amazing to realize that we don't know. The average person just doesn't know
And when
their
the
power.
COVID thing attacked specifically the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, which says freedom of religion is number one. Then freedom of speech, freedom of print and press, freedom to assemble peaceably, and freedom to redress our grievances. And we're like, oh my gosh, we need to be doing that. No wonder they've attacked. That's exactly what they wanted to do, is shut us down and shut us up. So we got out on our county court steps and we read redress of grievances for 95 weeks, every Tuesday, started in 2021, got it from New California, the attorneys there, they prepared them for us. We were faithful to do that and running parallel with the other patriots in town and working the recall and everything. But what happened was we realized that these 7 mountains are 7 pillars in every community. I'm not sure if you've heard of the 7 mountains, but the first one, it was attacked by Karl Marx back in the day. So you know they've been targeted, and it's the family, education, government, churches, businesses, arts and entertainment, and the media. And so all those had been captured, and we saw that they had. So we invited everyone after the school walkout. We had 1,000 people. We had to go somewhere. So we met in a church and we divided into groups and said, okay, you do communication, you do education. We took a stand against the medical, the mandates, the non-laws, and we stood up against all that for the sake of the families, to protect them against this and the jab and everything else that went with it. So we started actively doing this. And so we were protecting our rights that the Constitution gave us. And then we started schooling all of our leaders, and we put them all at notice, and we papered everybody, even the school superintendents.
Like 101
signatures,
affidavits saying, we challenge your oath of office.
And they got nervous because suddenly everything is flipped, and they're working for us, and we are letting them know we're holding them accountable. So this has been done in every county through New California. It's just been amazing to watch. And like I said, the people stepped down. Sydney Powell came out. She was with us in San Luis Obispo County. And we said, Sydney, what do we do? I was like her bodyguard, because I pack a weapon. I can go in the ladies' room with her, and she's amazing. And I said, tell us what to do. She says, go get your county. And it was just like General Flynn had said, it's the county action that has a nationwide impact. So we did that day at San Luis Obispo. So many of the patriots there, they signed like 103 of them, and they delivered them to the county clerk registrar, Tommy Gong. And 3 days later, he stepped down. So we knew we were onto something. So we just kept the justice walls, the balls turning and going, and all these, plates spinning, and
we just pounded them. We wouldn't give up, and it's not just us, like I say, and we've gotten tired over the years. There's times when, and I just had heart surgery in February. As my 3rd heart valve, my
new heart parts for Valentine's Day.
So, I mean, the bottom line, I say, God, don't send your angels. If you want me, come get me yourself.
Yeah.
And he let me stay, so that's good. And I'm just going to keep hammering away until I can't. Yeah. And that, just no way going to stop. And that's what it takes. We've got to keep fighting, and we've got to keep doing whatever we can do. There's no doubt about it. And I'm just proud of everybody that we know here. Of course, just so thankful for everyone. And Louis, we're just so proud of you and the posture that you take. You're such a listener. That's one of the things that I see, is that you're a listener, and you're looking for ideas. You're looking for people that can carry the ball. And it's just it's an amazing thing. It really is. And Michael, just thank you so much for what you've done for our nation. It's just, I mean, there's just a lot of work to do.
I feel like I'm doing more work, and it's in some cases even more dangerous what I did in the combat zones. I feel like I'm in a combat zone sometimes. Now, Louis, you talk about education. That was one of the things that Louis talked about on stage during that great event where all those incredible people were talking about what they would do for California. What I would do is I would have Louis be the governor, and then have all those people come and work with you, Louis. So, very good ideas. But Louis, I think, was stunningly, on top of all the points. So, Louis, tell us about this education that of the American people. That's your focus, in educating the people.
It is. We've been under a malaise for a long time. First, I want to point out that I know Paul. Paul is brilliant. Paul Preston, just absolutely brilliant. Love the work that he's done. And I want to say, though, Shasta County appears to be the exception, but they should be the rule on the way things are run. And I know the outliers like to say they're the exception, but the first thing I did when the results came out for Proposition 50 is I went to Shasta County and I said, let me see what their numbers are. And I can tell you, based on what I saw, that you guys are 69% no.
Yep.
Yet the rest of the country supposedly was 32% no. Rest of the state. So if the rest of the state was 32% and you're 69%, maybe, just maybe, the way you count ballots makes sense.
Isn't that what Stalin said?
70-30. Yeah, you're right.
Stalin said, I don't care who votes, I care who counts the votes.
Exactly. And that's the point I wanted to make. It's very clear just by looking at your county results versus the rest of the counties. Now, in regards to education of we the people, a long time ago when I started my campaign, I said we're going to start as an education process, because the reality is we've been in a malaise worldwide for several decades. And that's why I do crazy things like I did today, talking about the New World Order, because you know what, if we're not having a conversation about this stuff, nobody's going to know. But I will say right now, I believe this is God's venture. This is not my venture. I love the Plums. It's not their venture. We are all just conduits for the Lord. And what I believe is going on right now is he is putting the seed of awakening in the public. Because I can tell you now versus 5 years ago, the people would make my tinfoil hats for me. Now they actually start paying attention to what we're talking about, and it makes sense. Can you imagine in an actual gubernatorial debate, I said that we can start putting copper wires around our plants and sing to them, and half the audience was like, that's right, we can do that. Because
I do it. I got a couple wire around mine.
I just had a phone call today. Actually, I think it was yesterday, with the premier person in the world that does this. And I actually hooked her up with y'all. Somebody just mentioned Pastor Dave Bryan, because he's creating Eden, the Gardens of Eden over there. So they just spoke today. And I'm sure that was a very empowering conversation. And I'm hooking him up with a couple other people too, because this is the new terror. We are creating the new terror, and we're pulling the New World Order away. It is what it is. I know it's scary for people to have this conversation, but if we don't have this conversation, we were never going to permeate the zeitgeist and move forward.
Right. Yeah. It's so good, Louis. Everything that's synthetic and fake and imposters and counterfeits, we're just removing all that and coming back to authentic and real in every arena, with the food, with government, with elections, with medical, everything. It's just going to be beautiful. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And let me just finish. I'm sorry. Let me hit on one more thing, because you covered this, and this is so important. We would not have had a COVID-19. We would not have child trafficking. We would not have our food being poisoned. We would not have the tyrannical governments or all the wars we have if there wasn't a full force attack against the First Amendment.
That's right. That's right.
Because if the education process, if the schools and religions were not under a captured operation, and the media, the stuff would get out right away. And it would never have been suppressed, and we wouldn't be here. So focusing on the First Amendment with what protects it, the Second Amendment will handle everything.
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, we believe that if we don't go back to the Constitution and truth, just like, you've said many times, Louis, is that truth is simple and it's straightforward.
Yep.
And that's the key is our baseline is back to the Constitution and following it strictly. And we were listening the other day to Donald Wilson, who's an amazing constitutional scholar, and he was just saying that this is his book. Actually, he talks about the Whigs and the Irish and the Scottish who actually wrote the Constitution, and it's your right and your duty to to replace the prince, to take care of them. And we've just come to this nicer, gentler life, where from the pulpits, people have betrayed the congregations. They've told them just to keep sucking it up and and stand for nothing. And it's like love, love, love. And, and there's a point there, but there's also a point that you love your family by defending your country.
Right.
And that's the balance, and I absolutely get it. And that's what the Black Robe Regiment stood for. Mm-hmm. And it's just really quite amazing. And I just really know that things have to change. We've been in the New California movement now for about 5.5, 6 years. And we have done a tremendous amount of work, tremendous amount of papering, as Patty mentioned, all of the different people in our county, and it's had some impact. And we just pray that God just completely revamps the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Louis, we know you're going to be out on your tour again in January, you mentioned, so we're hoping you can coordinate with the schedule here at the end of January that we'll be having this convention, and there's going to be some amazing speakers. But
that'd be great.
We'd love to have you come and be a part. You too, Michael, and bring Tracy. I just love your wife. I met her at the event.
Come on down.
That would be awesome. Because what we see is that the Word of God is our anchor. And the Constitution is our plumb line, and everything has to come through the grid of the Constitution. And so when we talk to people about their voting opportunity, they get mad because now it's suddenly inconvenient because we're making it one day on paper ballots and they got to come to their precincts. And I said, well, you don't understand, because voting is not a privilege. It's your right, and you have to fight for your right. It has to be probably inconvenient in some sense for you to see the value of it, because it's your voice. And if you give it up and put it in a mailbox and you lose custody, what value is that? You can never, declare that you got who you voted for. So that's why we don't say it's a privilege to vote. It's a right to vote. And if you don't vote, that's on you, because that's your voice and it will be silenced.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So getting people involved, getting them to, go to the voting, same day voting. I was kind of like skeptical about that because I saw the way Arizona, Maricopa County stole that election, because we told everybody day of, go down there and vote, day of, and then everybody showed up and the machines were all messed up on purpose.
Right.
And
Exactly.
So
if we don't get rid of the machines, we can't control it.
That's true.
Everybody's lost their vote in the machines.
It has to be orange. We have to vote like the Amish.
It can be done, and you have a tremendous amount of people that you handle expertly, so it can be done.
Yeah. It's been demonstrated here, but we've also been doing several elections throughout the state of California in many counties. They're called citizens elections through New California for this purpose, to prove that it can be done. And so that's just been amazing. So we set it up and people come, and some people come, they're like, I didn't know in time and I wanted, but it's all about the Constitution that's been rewritten. It took about 8 years because the California Constitution was so compromised. It came out and it's been changed like 922 times, and it's just awful. So we had to go through it, and we had these committees, and we went through it and rewrote the Constitution and have it go back to the 1849, the original Constitution.
But there's a compact.
Yeah, it makes so we've learned so much, but it's all about we the people. Because don't you remember when our President Trump said that inauguration day? He says we're taking the power from Washington D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. And I jumped up and down. I said, "What does that mean? I don't know. How do we do that?" And I was just And so here we are, and we're doing it, and we're inspired by other people that say it has to be grassroots, because Trump can only do his part. He does the executive orders and all his part. He's counting on us to do our part. And if we don't, then we failed him and we failed each other. It has to be we the people. That's why your t-shirt is so great. And we're going to wear it out and get another one, Louis. We the people. Yeah. There we go. We the people.
Here we are.
Love it. Yeah. And, on that site, it's ncs51.com. California State 51.com. That's great. No, I've been reading through this and I almost get teary-eyed. It's so perfect.
Awesome.
What is on this site. I highly encourage everybody to go look at it. Now, if there are interested parties out there, let's say other counties all around the world, I would say around the world, because it's cheating's going on around the world, but definitely here in the United States, if they want some insight, some help, where would you point them?
Well, the website, of course, and then Paul Preston's on the radio every day. He's in the morning here from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning. So he keeps things current as far as what's happening and educating us all about what the Constitution provides for us. And then it's up to us to do it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how everything is going to turn out, but we're in the mix.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Louis is he's saying, let's figure this thing out,
Yeah.
because it's big state and the biggest state in the union.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to figure this out. And we just love what you stand for, Lewis. Absolutely. And we love what New California stands for. So somewhere in there is a amalgamation of truth that is going to shine. I don't know exactly how it's going to feather out.
Take back California that we were a part. So we just say, when people ask us, we just say, like Trump does, well, we'll see what happens. We're just doing what we can, and we're setting it all in there and making these deposits constitutionally, and then we'll see what happens.
We really believe in you, Lewis.
Yeah, we're so excited. Thank you
I
for coming
appreciate
on.
both of you. You're absolute warriors and lead by example. So I honor you. I mean, it's just incredible.
So we the
all
people getting involved, all of us. Yeah, definitely good. So
well, Lewis, I'm sorry, just one more thing. Leslie Sawyer, remember, she was helping us, and she went backstage, and she's from here. She does the Mountaintop Media too. That's another source with John Knight. He helped to produce with Jeremy Edwardson, Red, White, and Blueprint. But we wanted to shout out to Leslie, because she's all, your cheerleader as well. So
she's amazing.
And then with that, we'll shut up, I guess.
Yeah, let you do.
All right, Lewis, what's final words?
It's just this gives me so much inspiration, Ron and Patty, and people that works so hard. And as you know, similar to Flynn, I've always said the micro will fix the macro, and it really, really would. And my inspiration is also January 20th, 2017. Like Patty said, that's when President Trump said we gave it back to the people. I frankly think we dropped the ball, but now it feels like we're picking the ball up and really moving forward. So, we're going to continue our education and putting out solutions. The word can't does not exist. I don't know how that got into our dictionary, but I'd like to eliminate it if I had any power, because we just have to find an issue, find the solution, and then let's move on. And I believe the people are ready for this, Mike. So awesome. Thank you, Michael, for everything you do and bring me on. And the Plums, that's what I have to say. Look I just happened to be wearing your color, and that it was not even planned.
Oh, hey, see?
Color.
Yeah.
So good.
That's so good.
We enjoyed meeting your wife as well, Lewis. Gosh, what a treasure. You guys are awesome.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Michael and you too.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, Tracy. Yeah.
Backed by good women. We know that one.
Oh, you're not
Boy,
lying.
do I ever, right? If I get a word in, then that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, ditto. My wife's laughing right now because she agrees with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. What a great team. Okay,
all right, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're looking
God
forward
bless.
to these changes coming. I strongly believe we're in the mix. It's happening right now. Very
Awesome.
Let's stay
Awesome.
very good. God bless you guys. Thank you.
God bless.
good.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.